Hey everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our 2020 predictions discussion. We're picking up right where we left off in part 2 as we try to imagine what Nintendo might do in the new year. So, let's get back to it.
Alright, let me go ahead and further undermine something I said earlier about Zelda with yet another Zelda prediction.
Oh my god.
The triforce of undermining myself. But this one doesn't really count, and you'll quickly know why. Because I predict the next major mobile game from Nintendo will be Zelda, and it will be the only major mobile release from Nintendo this year.
I actually agree with that. I have had that down here as well.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Do you have any idea what it could be, Derek?
I tried to think of that, and I'm honestly not sure. The best I can think of is maybe something like Dragalia Lost, just with Zelda characters.
That would make sense. That has been a pretty big moneymaker for them. So like a cooperative type Zelda in that style could absolutely work. And I should mention real quick, like this isn't a totally out of the blue prediction because there have been like rumblings of Nintendo working on Zelda for mobile at some point. So I think it makes sense for it to be the next one.
Yeah, have those gacha elements, have teams of 4 work together so you could have, all the different Links, all the different Zeldas, characters from throughout the series all teaming up and having unique artwork and do that aspect. If they do it right, like Dragalia Lost and not like Pokemon Masters, it could do well.
I actually kind of love that idea, Derek. Like, what if it's like this is a true like time-bending version of Zelda, right? Where you can play as any version of Link or Zelda across a series. So it's kind of embracing the entire series, and I don't know what kind of plot they could come up with for this. But yeah, that'd be neat if it kind of like brings them all together. Like it's like, hey, forget the timeline. This is a timeline. This game is a timeline.
Exactly.
Or timeline theorists. They'll lose their minds over this.
That's true.
Bring back Lana and all that shenanigans from Hyrule Warriors.
I won't play as a cow, an Ocarina of Time cow.
Oh man.
Watch out for
That's
the
the dream.
aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. Pikmin 4 takes place in a house. So there's one little mission in Pikmin 3, one of the bonus missions, where basically you're walking around this living room and there's like a big pizza you can see. And I love that level. And I want the entire game to take place in just one big house.
Pikmin 2 had areas like that too underground. I mean, they were underground, but they looked like household areas. Like big blocks and stuff, but I hated them. So I kind of hope we don't get this.
Oh no!
I love the natural feel of Zelda. So this would, Pikmin. This feels more like a chibi robot thing to me, and I don't know. That doesn't quite appeal to me.
What do you think Pikmin goes after this, though? We've had 3 games, and the third one experimented by giving you more characters. So, like, what's the next gimmick of it?
Well, real quick, how do you grow Pikmin indoors? How's that going to work?
There's no carpet.
I mean, I in a broader sense, just predicting Pikmin 4 at all is pretty bold. Like, is that actually coming still?
It's been nearly done for like 5 years now.
It would be kind of cool if you started out in like the backyard or front yard or whatever and had to go in the house and manage your Pikmin that way. Kind of like a new idea of the dungeons in Pikmin 2.
Mm-hmm.
A safe bet, though, is Pikmin 3. I mean, that's the next obvious Wii U game, aside from 3D World and Wind Waker. But yeah, that's almost definitely coming.
You think so? You think we'll get that
Yeah.
port?
Yeah, seems like
We've had every Wii U game, every like
It's
possible
true.
Wii U game at this point. They're all
Tokyo
on the
Mirage
table.
Sessions got ported. I don't see any reason that Pikmin 3 doesn't get ported. It just makes sense.
It'd be hilarious
Yeah.
if Pikmin 3 gets ported before Pikmin 4.
Yeah, as much as I love Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I fully expected a game like Pikmin would have been ported first. So it's kind of weird that we still don't have it.
I will miss Wii remote controls. I think they're perfect for Pikmin. I'm not sure how you can sort of replicate that on Switch.
I mean, I think in the same way as Skyward Sword, we've already seen pointer-based games on the Switch, such as World of Goo. It can work. It will just have to be recalibrated a little bit more often, or rather, period, whereas it didn't have to be on Wii U. However, we do lose a gamepad, which gave you persistent access to your map and allowed you to, map routes to your teammates. But I'm okay with that. I really hated keeping that stupid thing in my lap while I was playing with a Wii Remote otherwise. So...
I'm telling you, if they come up with that Wii Motion Plus accessory, bring back that controller. There you go. Pikmin 3 is in good shape too.
Cover all the bases. All right, who's next?
So we've been talking a lot about good predictions for this year. I want to talk about some bad news.
Oh my god.
I think that 2020 is the year Nintendo finally gives up on Labo. I think
you're
that
probably right.
we are not going to get any new Labo kits in 2020, and I don't think we're going to even get that Mario Kart update.
How dare you, Steve?
I mean,
The
you're
market
probably
has
not wrong.
spoken.
I mean, with Labo VR, they even showed Labo VR stuff with the initial Labo reveal. Like, we've seen all the stuff that was in that initial trailer now.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's all done.
It's too bad. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, my prediction of it taking off was way off base. It seemed like Labo VR was doing well for a while, but I don't know where that ended up at. Probably also somewhere in the niche market. It's too bad. I think Labo was an awesome idea. I think it just came a little bit too early and in the Switch's life cycle, and I don't think it was marketed right. But I agree with you, Steve. I think they are done with Labo, minus maybe another Labo VR update. But I don't think we're gonna see any more. So, and that hurts me.
R.I.P. Labo.
Yeah.
So, Steve, you'll like this one. I believe that No More Heroes 3 will launch in either late July or early August, but before that, a No More Heroes collection will appear on Switch in April.
Oh, yeah, I do like that. I'm on board with this. I've been thinking that as a matter of fact, when Tom and I don't know if it made it into the video, but when Tom and I talked to Suda51 at E3 2019, that was one of the first questions we asked him, was whether he was concerned about people not really knowing No More Heroes on the Switch, and if he was going to try to port those games over to help ease the audience into the universe. And he said he really wanted to, but that he hadn't even discussed it with Nintendo yet, and he wasn't, but that if he had his way, it would happen. So I would love to see this. I'm aching to play those games again, so I think the timing would be really good, and I think August is a great time frame to release a game like No More Heroes 3.
That would make sense. I'll step up with a fairly boring one, and it kind of ties back into something we touched on briefly in the previous discussion. I think, as we said, and by that I mean part one of our 2020 predictions of the things we knew, and I think we all agreed we wouldn't be seeing, or rather, Metroid Prime 4 wouldn't release this year. However, I do think we will see it this year. If not at E3, which I think is possible, then definitely by the Game Awards. I think we will get our first trailer at the least, again, by the end of this year. But I don't think it'll be playable at any point this year. We will only see it, and that's it. And they won't even give us a release date, so...
A new teaser is the best we can expect.
I don't know if we're going to see gameplay. I think we'll probably see it in some capacity, though.
Yeah, I think we may see gameplay even. I expect more than a trailer, more than a teaser, because I think they have to. They can't tease us again with Metroid Prime 4 for a second time, basically. They already burned that bridge with the title reveal or, with the logo reveal. So they have to give us something, but I don't think they have to give us that much. Just has to be more than a teaser.
What I'm imagining is kind of similar to how Pokemon Sun and Moon was shown off for the first time, where you're kind of just seeing like retro studios in their offices with like Prime 4 being worked on in the background and some concept art. That's kind of what I'm imagining them showing.
Mm-hmm. Not a bad way to go about it.
I'm thinking of a Game Awards reveal, and I'm imagining like kind of like 5 to 10 seconds of gameplay, followed by an updated logo. I think it's too early for them to show much more than that.
Potentially.
Well, by the time of the Game Awards, it'll have been nearly 2 years since the announcement of Retro taking over.
That is true, yeah. It's hard to say we have no idea how deep this game is into development. We don't know when they exactly started. We just know when they announced it. So it is possible they could show it. I actually had a slightly different Metroid prediction, though. I feel like, we could get Prime Trilogy, we could get Prime 4. But Mercury Steam, of course, did Samus Returns, and that was in 2017 now. I feel like that they are hard at work on the next one, which they teased in Samus Returns. And I think it's going to be called Metroids.
Oh.
With a Z?
Like on the alien reference. Only a matter of time. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I have a new 2D Metroid on here as well. I was thinking, at the very least, a port of Samus Returns, because when Mercury Steam did Lords of Shadow on the 3DS, it almost immediately got a 3DS a port on the systems as well, HD port. Mm-hmm. So we could easily see them make that adaptation and get it onto the Switch as well, hold people over, potentially get people more, experience it more, or we could just get either a new remake or a brand new game. Either one I'm happy with, but I do think Mercury Steam is working on another Metroid game.
I want Metroid 5 so bad, and I think it's, without a doubt, we'll get Metroid 5 before we get Prime 4.
That's pretty bold, but entirely possible.
It's very possible. I could see it.
I mean, they teased it. There's definitely a timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. So we'll see.
I'm running low on predictions at this point, but I have one that's kind of middle of the road. Let me throw this one at you guys. I think in 2020, specifically in March or April, we're going to get the reveal of Sonic Mania 2.
Ooh. I had that too, Steve. And yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
I think that Sonic Mania did incredibly well. It was well received. Most people said it was one of the best Sonic games or the best Sonic game of all time. I think it's time. This is a 2D retro title. It doesn't take nearly as long to develop as a traditional game these days. So I think that enough time has elapsed. 3 years is more than enough for this game not only to be revealed, but to potentially release this year as well.
Mm-hmm. Going off that too, Sega have already announced that they're working on the next 3D game as well, so we could potentially see that this year too. But I am far more confident that we'll see Mania 2 before the 3D game.
Agreed.
Except, wasn't there some news recently about how some member of the original team wasn't, like, confirmed he wasn't working on Mania 2, or wasn't even involved with the studio anymore, or layoffs or something?
I think he worked on a Kickstarter lately. I think that's the only thing. Like,
okay.
He's doing something else. But,
yeah, the guys at Headcanon tried to do that indie game, and it didn't do well on the Kickstarter. They're re-evaluating it, so that might go a wrench.
Doesn't that kind of, like, pose a problem for Mania 2?
I don't think it does. I mean, there's definitely other people who can work on this game, and the point of Mania was like getting all these fans together to make a Sonic game. Like, why not include more fans?
Yeah, but I feel like if you're gonna make a sequel to your hit game made by a solid development team, would you want to get as many of them back as possible for the sequel?
Theoretically, but this is Sega.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly, Derek. That's why I think it's possible we don't get Mania 2. It is Sega.
But yeah, that was just like one cog of Mania. Like, Christian Whitehead was the main spearhead, and he's almost certainly still on board.
All right. Yeah. Well, I hope you're right, because that was like the one Sonic game I actually finished. 2D Sonic game I finished. So. All right. I've got a prediction here. John, you mentioned earlier that you thought FZero would get rebooted by an indie developer. I disagree. I think it'll get rebooted this year as FZero 99. That's right, an online FZero experience where you're racing and battling 99 other people, or 98 other people, I guess.
Dude, that's perfect.
Isn't it perfect? There was even a death race in FZero X on 64 where the whole point was you just looped around endlessly until you killed everyone. Is that not the perfect experience for a battle royale online?
Hell yeah.
That would be amazing.
Are you picturing this like Tetris 99 being free with Switch Online?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I had that here. Absolutely. This is a Nintendo Switch Online exclusive. This will be the Tetris 99 of this year. So yeah, it's meant to sell the service, meant to keep people engaged with it in the same way Tetris 99 has.
And people can actually play FZero now. No excuses.
Yeah. Is this a 3D or a 2D?
Oh, it's 3D. Yeah, it's absolutely 3D. It'll have a very small amount of courses at first, which will add things to they'll add to it over time. There'll be like, weekly or monthly updates that build upon it. But this will launch as an otherwise pretty simple game, I think. Core FZero mechanics with the 98 player or 99 player mechanic. So, yeah.
That is the natural evolution for F-Zero. Like, I think Miyamoto said at one point that what else can you do with the series? It's just like hundreds of races.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
It's more racers. And we've already seen 30 a few times now. So I think adding 99 is the next step. Like, just go epic with this. Like, every race feels like an epic adventure, right? Where, like, every position you gain just feels good as you work your way to the first. And I can only imagine how intense that can be when you're racing for those final few positions.
So the tricky part about this is that there's only so many racers in F-Zero. So I imagine like a create a character and card selector would be a thing, or just there'd be multiple characters.
Yeah, that'd be an easy solution. Just let you make your own crappy looking F-Zero car and racer. I don't imagine they'll make 99 or 60 more characters for this game, or 70 characters. I do think, though, that they could add in like a F-Zero card creator, or like having a random generator, or some way of giving you your own cards, or car, I should say.
I mean, they could even cut that in half and just have 50 people racing around and still have a lot of fun.
No, it has to be 99 now.
I guess for my next prediction, I think we're going to get a new Kirby game revealed this year. However, I don't think it's going to be a 3D title, and I don't think it's going to be in the classic Star Allies Planet Robobot vein. I think it's time for a new experimental Kirby. What form that might take, I'm not exactly sure. But I think he'll go back to his more experimental phase with his next Switch game.
Kirby's Rainbow Curse 2. Or 3 at this point, pretty much.
Yeah, probably not that, because that would require pointer controls, and that's not happening. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what they could do with it, but it does feel like it's going to be a smaller, more experimental game.
You know that game of 1-2 Switch where you like eat a sandwich? They can make an entire game out of that, where you just put the IR camera up to your face and Kirby just eats everything.
Kirby auto-walks and you have to actually open your mouth to make him eat.
There you go.
Perfect.
How about it uses a Ring Fit ring, and you have to like actually expand it to make Kirby eat, to make him inhale.
You put it out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Out, exactly.
I'm getting some terrible vibes from this game. there's a cursed energy coming off this idea.
Well, you just put food into your ring hole, and you shoot it
God.
Moving on. No, Derek, I do think that's a good idea. There's without a doubt going to be a new Kirby game at some point. We had the Switch Online one, which that was alright, but it kind of like it reused a lot of ideas from previous games. I don't know if they're just going to do another 2D side-scroller, but Kirby is at its best when it's experimental. It's great when they do just weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to see it.
I've got 2 more predictions here, if you guys don't mind me knocking these out.
Sure.
All right, 1, there will be no Splatoon 3 this year. I think.
Agreed.
No.
You don't think so?
I have Splatoon 3 announced on my list.
Oh, man.
Well, why don't you think there's going to be one?
I think it's too soon. I think Splatoon 2, for as good as it is, was a bit of a marginal upgrade over the original. I think they want to give it a little bit more time to rest so they can kind of reinvent it a little bit more for Splatoon 3. I mean, they're not going to reboot the whole series, but I think there's more. I think they can be more ambitious with it. I think they're going to hold off a little bit. Splatoon 2 probably still selling well, I imagine. I don't think they want to cut that off quite yet. So I think next year would be more likely for a sequel than now.
It also makes sense with the timing of Animal Crossing, seeing as a lot of the team are involved.
Right.
I can see it going either way. Splatoon 2 sold extremely well, so it's got to be a big priority. I think it's like their top 5 IP at the moment, so it's definitely up there for them. But yeah, I think I agree with you that it probably won't come out this year, but it very well could.
But you disagree, Steve.
I don't think we're going to see Splatoon 3 this year in terms of release, but I do think we would get an announcement.
Okay.
I feel like Nintendo could position it later in the year as like, hey, 2021, get hyped, Splatoon 3's coming out. I definitely don't see it coming out this year, though. But I think Splatoon's been dead, quote-unquote, from an update perspective, long enough that they want to let everybody know what the team's doing.
A spin-off I absolutely think could definitely come out this year, but Splatoon 3, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we touched on the spin-off idea in our decade discussion, too.
Yeah. Time for Splatoon Salmonid Invasion.
There we
The
go.
Salmonids have taken over the city. It's like a zombie shooter. Got to take them all down.
A squad-based PvE shooter for Splatoon would be really cool.
Actually, would be kind of neat.
Yeah.
All right, let me knock out my other prediction here. It's kind of related to, actually it's not really related, but I'll say it is. So, as I was saying with Splatoon, I don't think they want to cut off the legs from Splatoon 2 yet. And I think obviously, the biggest selling game right now on Switch is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You cannot stop this thing. It just keeps selling and selling and selling. And for that reason, I don't think we'll see another Mario Kart this year. But that's not my prediction. My prediction is that is a giant market to appeal to with a massive DLC expansion to Mario Kart. That's 20 million people that would potentially be willing to drop down, I don't know, say $30 to add not just 16 new tracks to the game, but an entire new mode that reinvents how you play the game. And of course, by that I mean Double Dash mode, baby. That's right. You can now race on every track with 8 other racers, or 8 other carts rather, with 2 racers each, 16 people. You can play cooperatively online together, and it's going to be an amazing experience. Launching this year.
It was either going to be Double Dash or Mario Kart 99. It's one of those 2 ideas.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be cool. I would certainly not argue with it, but I also don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, I don't think they'll ignore Mario Kart forever, and I don't think we're going to get a proper sequel anytime soon with how well Deluxe is doing. So I feel like this is the only way to appeal to appease both bases, or both sides of that.
Mm-hmm. Here's hoping.
I just don't see it. I think Mario Kart is done with updates. Mario Kart 8 is done with updates. But it does tie in very nicely to my final prediction. I think we're going to get the announcement, but not the release of, a new proper second generation Switch in 2020. And furthermore, I think it's going to launch in early 2021 with Mario Kart 9.
So basically on its 4th anniversary, on the 4th anniversary of the Switch, you think they'll have a second
exactly. So I think Breath of the Wild 2 gets postponed out of 2020 and into early 2021. I think 2021 is almost going to be positioned to be like 2017 all over again. Nintendo has to have been working on a new model of the Switch, one that is properly more powerful than what we have now. And I don't think we're going to I'm darn near certain it's not going to release this year, but I don't think they can go through the holidays and the launch of a new generation of home consoles without at least talking about what's around the corner for Switch. So I think in the holiday season, like, November, December timeframe, we get the announcement that, yeah, there's a new Switch coming, like Switch 2 or Switch Pro or whatever you want to call it. And it won't be like a crazy upgrade. It'll be similar to the difference between PS4 and PS4 Pro. You get a resolution bump, you get frame rate improvements, But by and large, it's still, it plays the same games, does the same stuff, just does everything the Switch can do, just slightly better. And I think that it'll be powered by something like a Tegra X2 or something like that. I don't think we're going to get like, some people out there are saying, oh, Switch Pro is going to be 4K. No way. we're not getting that. But I would expect to see something that can run Breath of the Wild 1, say 1080p 30.
Sure.
Where you get improvements in old games and games going forward have Switch, quote unquote, Switch Pro enhancements. And I think that is going to culminate in a launch in early 2021 with Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Kart 9 as kind of tentpole launch titles for this new version of the Switch. But I fully expect those games to work on everybody's Switches that they already have.
I'm with you that it's probably not going to launch this year. The Switch has gone 3 years now without a price cut, and it's still selling consistently well. It doesn't seem like there's any real reason to get another Switch out there now while the Switch still has that momentum going. And I don't really think that the launch of new consoles doesn't really means anything, because the Switch already has a big power difference between the current generation, and it's still a supplement system. People are still buying it. So I do think there's going to be a Pro unit, but I don't think that's going to be spurred on because of next gen. So launching next year, I think makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys think they will have a Pro unit rather than just holding out for a proper Switch 2, like a proper next generation version of the Switch?
This is a handheld. Nintendo's going to revise it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're getting a quote unquote Pro unit, and I don't think similar to how Microsoft is doing, where the new Xbox, they're just calling it Xbox. I think the generational leap or term is going to become pretty useless with this. I think we're just going to see Nintendo kind of similar. I expect them to treat it only marginally differently than they treated the new battery life Switch. Like, hey, this is definitely a new Switch. It's better, but it's just replacing the old one.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll see it released this year either, but maybe it is possible we will see it. I do disagree with you on one thing, though, Steve. I agree and disagree. I agree it probably won't do native 4K. I think it's possible that it could offer upscaled 4K, though. Like, along the lines of what we've seen already in games on the Pro and the Xbox whatever. Where, yeah, it's just taking existing games and making it look good in 4K, rather than having your TV deal with it and all the horrible sacrifices that can often bring. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That'd be cool. It is crazy that we're coming up. I mean, that by the end of this year, the Switch will be 4 years old, so... I
would love to be wrong about, 4K Switch is the dream, but I just don't see the keeping it thin and light and having everything we love about the Switch without compromises if you want to meet that target, because you'd have to introduce some pretty hefty cooling to make 4K work in a device that small.
Well, that could be what the dock is for.
Right, I was going to say, unless there's a revamped dock which includes some type of active cooling solution, or maybe even a secondary GPU in the dock, which we all know Nintendo had that kind of supplemental computing unit, I think, or whatever it was called, supplemental computing device patent before we knew what the Switch was, so they could possibly do something like that, but I'm not counting on it personally. I think to keep the price low, that they're gonna focus on making this more of a marginal upgrade, and maybe in another couple of years we'll get another Switch that can hit those targets. But I'm keeping it conservative for my prediction.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's exciting enough to brand as a Pro if it doesn't do 4K in some way, though. Especially with whatever they end up calling it. But that's how the Pro model has been kind of like largely treated so far, right? Like that, like it's 4K. That's a selling point of these. And I don't know if getting Korok Forest at a playable frame rate finally is enough to sell it.
That's fair, but I mean, it's also worth noting that I'm only using the Pro moniker here to kind of describe in layman's terms that it's a more powerful unit. Nintendo could market this as new Nintendo Switch or just Nintendo Switch, just like Apple kind of just craps out another iPhone every year, and they're like, hey, we threw a new camera on it.
Yep. All right. Any other predictions, guys?
Wow! I think Wario Land is going to come back. It's going to be Super Wario 3D Land. So they kind of dived into it with Wario World, but this time it's going to bring back the core Wario Land formula, but in a third dimension.
Ooh.
That's really funny, John, because I have something similar but different. I thought Wario Land was going to come back, but I saw it as Goodfeel coming back to the series in a shake-it-like 2D setting, except this time the big feature is Waluigi finally joins Wario for the Wario Land series.
I'd love that too.
Yeah, I like that idea. Hasn't Wario Land already kind of been in 3D though, like with Wario World?
We did get Wario World on the GameCube from Treasure, but that
it wasn't quite Wario Land though.
That's true.
It's
more of a
different
beat 'em
kind
up.
of take. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm down for Wario in any form. Like, give me some more of that Wario action. I like that guy.
It's been, I think it's been over 10 years since the last Wario Land game now.
Oh my god. Yeah, I
Since
guess it's been
Shake It,
stuck in WarioWare for a while, which I also enjoy, but hey, I'd be happy.
It's also been a while since the last, like outside of WarioWare Gold, which was like a compilation game. It's been over 10 years since. No, maybe 10
Oh, there was
years.
that. Well, also the Wii U had the.
Oh yeah, Game of
Game of
Wario.
Wario.
Right, yeah.
I mean, WarioWare on the Switch makes sense,
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with the Joy-Con.
especially with the IR camera.
I have one more prediction. It's not Nintendo specific, but it's Nintendo Switch related. It's a new decade, right? This is the time when we finally get Samba da Amiibo. That's right. Samba da Amiibo's coming to the Switch with Amiibo compatibility, if only for the title alone, which is perfect. It uses the Joy-Cons as maracas, and you can also buy accessories if you want. But the HD Rumble is perfect for replicating the feel of beans bashing around inside the controller or the maraca, and again, it will be amazing.
That's a bet. That's a solid bet. It's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Eventually.
That's
No
more
doubt.
likely than anything else we've said.
Yep.
They've kind of like, I think even the director or like someone that's like I said, like they'd love for that to happen. So I think it's time.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Anything else, guys? Any other final predictions you have before we wrap it up?
My last prediction is I think we're going to see a Castlevania Anniversary Collection 2 getting released this year. They already kind of talked about it in the first one, and I think it would make a lot of sense and get people really excited if they put the 3 Game Boy Advance and the 3 DS games on there, which are some of the best in the series. So that would get people properly hyped.
That would be insanely hot. Like that's like a perfect collection.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Give me a good chance to try them all out. So more than I have already. Anything else?
You should.
A Monkey Ball game people want. No Banana Blitz HD. We're going to get either a compilation of 1 and 2, or we're going to get a brand new game.
Man, look at these last minute Sega predictions. I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd
Also,
be cool.
one more Wii U prediction. I think Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater is going to come to Switch. It was a great game,
yeah.
but no one got a chance to play it because Nintendo didn't release it properly. So I think they're going to give it another chance.
Actually,
Let's hope
John,
so.
I want to go back to the Monkey Ball thing. How cool would it be if you could use a Ring Fit accessory ring to tilt the entire platform, and you can like squeeze it to, I don't know, cause like air gusts to come up from the ground at certain points and blow your Monkey Ball around?
I don't think Ring Fit's like as big of a peripheral.
It could
as we
work
think
with
it is.
literally
Yeah, no.
anything. John.
It could work, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Like you just took your entire body. Well, they did that with Step and Roll with the Wii Fit boards, so I guess there's
See?
precedent
There's
for that.
exactly. You think I'm speaking on my ass here, but there's
But it also
actually-
makes the boards really easy because they have to make them so wide to accommodate for that kind of idea. So I'd rather be the more challenging precision-based controls.
No, I mean, I think there's a way you can make it work. They just didn't make it work with the Wii version. So
Yeah.
All right, one last one. We're going to get a streaming service, most likely Game Pass, maybe Stadia, if you're into that kind of thing. But the Switch will get a game streaming service.
ooh, man, that's a bold choice, my friend. I would love that. Like, are you talking Nintendo specifically, or
No,
like
no,
a
no,
third
no.
party?
I'm saying
Okay.
that we will get a Game Pass or Stadia client on the
Got
Switch.
it. Okay.
XCloud seems very likely.
Sorry, I should have said xCloud. I keep saying
Yeah.
Game Pass because to me they're one and the same thing. But yes, xCloud will be on Switch. Is my prediction.
I would love it.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah, the biggest barrier to that is Nintendo itself. Like, it seems like Microsoft would be happy with it, but with Nintendo, does Nintendo want you playing Xbox games on your Switch?
If it makes you buy Switches.
I feel like they're warming up to that idea. I feel like the collaboration between Microsoft and Nintendo is leading up to this happening, just because they seem to be so cozy with each other these days. Sorry,
How
John.
dare you use that word around here?
But there's also the dilemma of how does Nintendo stay relevant in kind of the gaming arms race. And I know we all say they don't care, but they have to somewhat. Like, people care about how their games look, and they care about being able to play certain experiences. And as the power gap widens between Nintendo and, for better or worse, their competition, they're going to need some way to show people, like, hey, you want to play whatever, right? Like, whatever next gen stuff comes out, if you want to play it on the go, the Switch can still do that. So, and I think, there's no way they're going to get developers by and large to downscale their next gen efforts to the Switch with any type of consistency. So it may just so happen that they have to lean on a partner like Microsoft or even Google to get some of those more higher fidelity experiences onto the Switch and tell people, you want to play these, you can still play them. And for Microsoft, it benefits them because they're not in the handheld game at all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, there were those rumblings, I think, was it just I guess last year of such a thing happening at some point. I feel like it might be a little bit too soon, but I wouldn't be shocked if it does happen eventually, especially if Master Chief Collection does end up coming to the Switch. That would have to come out before this service, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to have both. But I think it's accessible on Game Pass as well. But I will, that you did remind me of another prediction I had, Steve. A little bit less ambitious, but is related to Nintendo Switch Online. And I think they will introduce another system this time to the Switch Online service, being the Nintendo 64. Allowing you to play them like the others fully online, so you can finally get your online Smash Bros. 64 or Mario Kart 64. Even Mario Party will finally be playable online for sure, for real, in full, via the service.
Will they also sell like an N64 replica controller? And also like give you a rubber part to put on the end of the analog stick for Mario Party?
There you go.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Mario Party won't be on this. Mario Party 2 will. Mario Party 1 won't be.
Can you imagine, like, just two honking N64 controllers, like, slotted on, like, Joy-Cons on your Switch?
That'd be amazing. But you can't even do that with the Super Nintendo controller, so...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So, yeah, I think we would get a replica controller. I think Nintendo likes money, and they would sell that if they can, so...
I mean, we'll see if we get the N64 Classic finally.
I feel like they're done with that now.
It does seem like they're done with it.
But yeah, N64 Online seems pretty likely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if we do get the 64 Classic, then we wouldn't get the 64 games online this year. If we don't get that, though, then I think we would. So, we will see. And basically, my prediction is we get 64 games in some form this year. So,
sounds good.
Are we finally done? Is that it?
I like how we've been going for around an hour and 15 minutes, and no one has mentioned any firmware update. No folders, no themes. We've lost hope.
We have.
I have one firmware related thing, but I feel like it's just not going to happen. I think we'll get messaging.
Oh
no,
that's too extreme, Steve.
I almost hope we don't, because inputting messages on the Switch, at least if you're playing on the TV, sucks, and there's no microphone, so it would be a very painful experience sending any kind of message on the Switch, I think.
Yeah, but they could kind of steal a page from Sony's book and let you use the Pro Controller's gyro to move a cursor around a keyboard.
That's true. That would be
That's
better.
so good. That's so underrated, Steve. I love the gyro on the PS4 for typing. No one ever talks about it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's the best way to input messages with a controller.
But that's not saying much, because it sucks. It has historically sucked otherwise.
Yeah, but it honestly is quite good. It's very serviceable. I think
is it better than the Wii Remote?
If you've ever tried
was?
it works very well.
I'd say yeah. It's better than the Wii Remote was.
Okay.
Yeah. It feels more natural because you have the
sucked,
stability of both hands.
You can hold the Wii Remote with both hands if you want to.
Don't be a monster.
All right. I think that's it. I think we're done here. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching our predictions for Nintendo in 2020. It'll be interesting to see how many of them actually come to fruition or if they come close to fruition. I can't wait myself. But of course, make sure to stay tuned for upcoming discussions on everything else Nintendo actually does announce this year. And make sure to check out the rest of our discussions if you haven't already. Whether it's part 1, where we discuss everything we do know about for sure coming out this year, including Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, potentially, and Animal Crossing, along with the other games that have been announced. Also, make sure to check out our insane predictions for Nintendo across the next 10 years for the full decade if you haven't. You'll find links to all those in the links below, including links to possibly our Game of the Decade discussion as well. We've been talking a lot recently, and I expect we will be more so in the future too. And with that, we're out of here. Catch you later. Bye.